Hey everyone, and welcome back to Scandalous Media. It's Alana here, and today we will be talking about the fever dream that was Matty Healy and Taylor Swift's relationship. Even though we all called the end of Taylor and Matty's relationship, it's still quite odd how fast and bizarre everything was. This swift ending led many people to believe the relationship was possibly done just for attention. Very recently, Taylor's rep sent out to the press news of Taylor and Matty breaking up. It went from, Taylor hasn't been this happy in a long time, to, she just wasn't ready for a relationship at this time, all within a matter of weeks. Anyone else always find it funny when a celebrity's PR team gushes to the media about how happy their client is dating this other person, and then there's a breakup 2 minutes later? That's how fast celebrities move in Hollywood. Speaking of Hollywood, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Was this all a PR setup? Many people will argue that it wasn't and that Taylor only broke up with him because it caused her a lot of controversy, but I can see that happening both ways. Behind closed doors, it is a well-known fact that the majority of Taylor's outside life or her life in the public eye is heavily constructed. Some sources even go as far as to say the majority of her relationships are only there to fill up an image for her songs and aesthetic. Now, we all know how much of a hopeless romantic Taylor is, so I wouldn't be surprised if she needed someone to fill up a boyfriend position so that her songs have more meaning or do better in the public eye, because we all know the general public loves a good sob story. We spoke about this concept in my video about Taylor and Joe Alwyn's breakup. I even joke saying that I think Taylor grew Joe in her backyard simply because the only role he ever filled in Taylor's life for 6 years was this super supportive, talented, extremely low-key British hottie that allowed Taylor a relationship longer than a year or two. We even go as far as pulling up Twitter threads from Taylor's own fans who questioned the relationship by saying none of Taylor's lyrics about Joe match up at all. Doesn't match up with concept, it doesn't even match up with the timing. Now this brings us to Matty Healy, who Taylor probably thought this was still 2014 Tumblr, and her being seen with Matty would have been this hot, bad boy, girl next door trope, but unfortunately everyone turned against the relationship. I made a video about Matty Healy's controversy with making racist jokes about Ice Spice on a podcast a few months ago, and Taylor then doing Damage Control to collab with Ice Spice on the remix for Karma. The collab did not garner the positive thoughts that Taylor's team thought it would because a lot of people believed Taylor was only doing Damage Control for her and Matty. Since the general public was sort of onto Taylor's calculative business moves, she went on an interview and said that Ice Spice actually reached out to her first.
Collaborating with Ice Spice on Karma was one of the most natural things. She reached out through her team, just kind of saying, hey, Ice has been a big fan of Taylor's since she was a little kid, would love to collaborate if that was ever something that came about. And so she jumped in head first. And
the reason why people think this relationship was PR or possibly just for some attention is because of how everything went down. First, we have the breakup with Joe Alywn, where Taylor didn't show much emotion to that relationship ending. She went out to dinner in a red lip and dropped some Easter eggs and whatnot. Then we suddenly get Matty Healy going to Taylor's concerts, and the reports start flooding in with how happy Taylor and Matty are. When the relationship first came about, news reports from Taylor and Matty's reps were the following. She's happier than she's been in a long time, an insider told Us Weekly. The New Yorker writes that Matty told friends, "This time, it's real," about Taylor. The UK tabloids were filled with rumors of Matty and Taylor collabing on music together and him moving to New York to be closer to her. Even Taylor herself made a little speech in one of her shows on May 20th saying, "I've just never been this happy in my life, in all aspects of my life, ever before," adding that it's not just the tour she's talking about, leading everyone to believe she's so happily in love with the person she's with and where her life is at. Suddenly, the relationship takes a twist and ends after lasting a little over a month. Taylor and her team did what they do best and threw all blame on the opposing side and filled the narrative with, Taylor was just having fun and social media is the one who took it too seriously, not her. Right after TMZ reported that they broke up, insiders told people that it was always casual, and another insider told Us Weekly it was never serious. Another insider said they were never boyfriend-girlfriend or exclusive. Even the sources who first told the media that Taylor and Matty were so in love said it's hard to tell if they'll go the distance, and that they were just moving fast. They really enjoy each other's company and want to spend as much time together as possible. Now, what I believe was starting to happen was that Taylor needed some sort of attention off of the Joe Alywn relationship, jumping into something with Matty Healy for a rebound relationship, and scratched off the itch of them never dating in 2014. Ever since 2014, there were rumors and push from fans that Taylor and Matty should date. In November 2014, Taylor wore a 1975 tour tee and gave Matty her number. In return, Matty wore a 1989 tee on stage and confirmed that Taylor did give him her number. In January 2015, he shot down any rumors of them dating and said that they casually met, exchanged numbers, spoke for a bit, and that was it. He also said to date Taylor Swift would be highly emasculating and that she wasn't a big impact on his life. I guess they thought fans would totally dig the bad boy rock star with the goody two-shoes pop star, but nobody thought anything positive about that relationship. Before they officially got together, in November 2022, Matty says that the 1975 did collab on Midnights with Taylor. He says, "We actually worked a bit on that, but then the version of it never came out. It was for reasons that are not to be criticized. She's amazing." Then on January 12, 2023, Taylor joined the 1975 on stage in London. And in April 2023, Taylor and Joe break up. Notice how they've been setting the scene since November? They actually work together in the studio, and after her breakup with Joe, she suddenly gets with the guy she was hanging out with during the end of her relationship. Yet nobody pondered if Taylor cheated on Joe with Matty. I just find it weird that Taylor was hanging out with Matty and going on stage with the 1975, knowing that fans have been speculating about them since 2014, and once the news hit that she and Joe were over, she's suddenly dating Matty. And no word comes from Joe Alywn, making me furthermore believe he and Taylor were a PR this whole time and he wanted out first. Cause if that was a real relationship, anybody would have been fuming with anger over Taylor and Matty getting together. Joe's reps would have flooded the scenes with his narrative. But it's almost as if the relationship with Joe has been swept under the rug, and almost as if this man that was here for 6 years in the Swiftie fandom now just isn't. On May 3rd, 2023, sources told The Sun that Taylor and Matty are madly in love.
BFFR. What did that spell? B fucking for real.
The source says, "It's super early days, but it feels right. They first dated very briefly almost 10 years ago, but timings just didn't work out. Taylor and Joe actually split back in February, so there was absolutely no crossover." Notice how they have to add in the fact that Joe and Taylor's timeline didn't mash up with Matty and Taylor, even though the dates are very, very close. PR damage at its finest. Also, the split in February was mentioned so that when news broke in April, people could say that Taylor already mourned the relationship, when in reality, Joe was often not seen, so it could have been February, January, December, or March, and nobody would have been able to fact check. Moving on, Taylor also had Matty join the Eras Tour in Nashville, where he played with Phoebe Bridgers as the opening act for the show. Now obviously, their timeline shows that Taylor and Matty could have simply been done for some attention, because he didn't need to say he worked on Midnights and she didn't need to go up on stage with them, or have him be a part of the opening act if they didn't want anybody to talk. People who drop these Easter eggs, as Taylor claims to do it for a reason, and this brings us to our next point. On May 5th, Taylor mouths on stage in Nashville, "This is about you, you know who you are, I love you." Girl. Nothing they're doing needed to be happening unless they wanted fans and people to speculate and talk. And to add more drama, Matty also mouths "I love you" on stage at his own concert. On May 12th, they are seen holding hands in New York City, where Page 6 reports that they were cuddling and kissing. The next day, Matty is spotted at another show with her dad, making people believe this is getting more serious if he's seated with her dad. A few days later, on May 15th, they are seen as clear as day, pictured leaving a recording studio together. And 5 days later, on May 20th, is where Taylor claimed she was the happiest she's ever been, and she isn't just talking about the tour. During this time, the relationship is getting viral hate because of how nasty Matty Healy's reputation is. And it's not just a bad reputation, this man is racist, misogynistic, mocks all religions and people of religion, makes Nazi jokes, and watches women brutalized porn, and so much more. So it's not like people were judging Taylor for getting with an outcast or the weird quiet guy. She literally got with someone who explained in detail how emasculating it would be to date her. And as always, stubborn Taylor still tried to make this work by supposedly having the press write positive things about Matty and the relationship, and this is something sources behind closed doors have confirmed to me, but it was still no use. Matty just had the worst reputation ever, and no matter how many positive narratives were there trying to make their way to the general public, the negative stories were too much to ignore. So what does that lead us to now? Taylor and Matty break up on June 5th. So that was Swift. And now that the relationship fizzled out, Taylor's reps claimed that she didn't know of the things Matty was accused of doing and being. And supposedly, Matty's reps fired back saying, "Yeah, you did." Very typical Taylor, constantly throwing all blame on someone other than herself. If you look at the details of Taylor's relationships, there is always a few things not adding up, and Matty Healy is another one added to that pile. What do you guys think about their fast-paced relationship? Those of you who will say, "Oh, who cares, he was clearly a rebound," need to understand that if a celebrity does something in public and makes it so obvious enough that fans talk, then it was meant for more than you think. And whenever they want to be done with the narrative they spun, they jump into the "it's the media who made the mess, not me" excuse. And we here on the Scandalous media team are always smarter than that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Shout out to the live fam watching this with me now. Leave your comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you next time.